if people are coming on, they're also seeing what other people are doing, and they're also getting confidence in the system, and they're getting the social proof, and they're kind of like getting like, wound up and like, oh, I can do this. This isn't hard. Like other people are doing it. Here are the results that they're getting.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to this spotlight session. I got my buddy Jordan Ursel here to tell you guys all about how he's crushing it in the agency game. And Jordan, first, thanks for coming on, buddy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Like is the case in so many of our case studies, I don't know about you, but in my business and even my role at UpHex, I keep my head pretty, I'm down. Like I'm down doing the work, and I try to be very involved in the community with you guys and everybody that's in there. And every now and again, I'll notice a post, something somebody posts in there or a comment they make. And you made kind of like a flippant post, meaning, oh, we got over 100 people on this program and we're crushing it. This is how we do it. And I was like, oh, there's another guy that's crushing it in the game. That's how I,
Yeah.
come on to some of you guys. So I immediately reached out to you and I said, you're crushing it. Oh yeah, we're crushing it. So I'm like, dude, we got to get on an interview so we can spill the details on how you're doing it. So before we get into any of that, that's a bit of a backstory about how I became aware of you and the success you're having. But maybe just for the audience, give a little bit of background, your background in the agency space, your business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So we've had a pretty long journey in the agency space. We started out about 6 years ago, just doing like fully done for you stuff. And over the years, it's kind of gravitated more and more to done with you. And then now it's kind of do it yourself with extra support and
Yeah.
with like high levels, kind of SaaS, all the new stuff they've been coming out with related to that. We've really kind of taken advantage of that. And then UpHex has been like this extra tool that we've added on. And it's really helped us move from like this really, really work heavy, employee heavy type of done for you offering more and more to the type of business which we've actually always wanted to build, which is much more system based, and it just implements or just uses a bunch of different software, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And yeah, UpHex has been a big part of it, and it's been awesome.
Awesome. I want to jump right into it. We can talk about offers and models and all that kind of stuff. But one thing that um, I think you've done a really good job of is something that a lot of people don't think about until they're in the thick of it, and they start experiencing high churn, maybe even immediate churn of somebody signing up and the onboarding process is clunky, or there's a lot of things that happen when people start any model, whether it's done for you, whether it's SaaS, whatever it is. And I think you guys have done a really good job of isolating the onboarding flow to a really executable flow, and then making people adopt the platform. And really, it's one thing to do sales, okay? And we've got videos in sales, we've got training on sales, but it's another skill. It's another muscle to flex that you have to, get if you want to be successful. So your guys' onboarding process and the way that you help users adopt, and even the way you almost like assimilate them into your community, is pretty unique. And you guys have done some things to really check off a couple boxes. And so what I want to do is have you walk us through that process, if you wouldn't mind. And just for those of you watching, before Jordan spills the deets here, a lot of these problems are, one, onboarding. What's the best protocols to onboard? Okay. Get people matriculated into the platform fast and, using it. Then two, get them feeling confident, get them feeling like they can trust what you're doing. There's so many things that are happening psychologically in our businesses that we just think surface level. We just think automations, this, that, and the other. Dude, there's so much more going on, and your systems and your processes are really important at the onboarding and adoption stage. So that's a preamble to maybe just a deep dive of your guys' onboarding flow.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll start with like UpHex onboarding specifically. We found this to be like at the start, it was a little bit difficult for us because Facebook Ads Manager it's in my view, it's like a confusing and convoluted mess. And especially for people who are coming into it, if you just start out like that and don't make it really easy for them to solve all the problems that typically come up or that they have prior to actually getting to you, like a disabled ad account, like a disabled personal account, all these different things can happen. And if you don't solve that right away and make it easily, then like right off the bat, people are going to be frustrated. So the way that we always start is we always have a call where we just go through all of the problems and set up their accounts so that those problems get solved and that future problems don't happen in the future. And that's like before anybody starts, that's the first call that we have. And we make sure we go through that and like tick off the boxes one by one. And you had a good video. I can't remember where it was. It might've been in your training course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we basically just like, we go through all that stuff right off the bat with the client. And then if you do that, it's going to not only solve any problems that they probably had, like for example, two-factor authentication is a huge thing, disabled accounts, like you have to get through that or else like you can't get it to any of the good stuff because you're going to run into so many problems. So yeah, that's the first thing that was like kind of the key for us. And that really helped. Because prior to that, like we would just people would get so frustrated because they'd be like, oh, I signed up, but like I can't get started. My ad account's not working. All this stuff would happen. And so that was big for us. And then the next thing that we did was we're like, okay, it takes a long time, or UpHex is really user friendly, but there still is a little bit of a learning curve and people still have I find they can still be challenged when they're launching the first campaign independently. And when you're onboarding a lot of people, it ends up being quite a bit of account manager time for each individual person. If you're going to be setting up calls and you're going to be like walking through it each day, and it just ends up being a lot of extra staffing that you have to bring on and a lot of extra time for the clients to like schedule a call and all this stuff. So for us, what we wound up doing is we just set up each day of the week. So like from Monday to Thursday, and each week we have 4 hours of calls every day. And then whenever somebody wants to launch their first campaign or they need help with the campaign, they can just log on to that call and they can just like review it themselves and they can go through it with our team and they can get them launched. And it has this really cool like second benefit where if people are coming on, they're also seeing what other people are doing and they're also getting confidence in the system and they're getting the social proof and they're kind of like getting like, wound up and like, oh, I can do this. This isn't hard. Like other people are doing it. Here are the results that they're getting. And it not only has that effect, but then it also cuts down on your account manager time. It's more convenient for people to log in and get the support they need. And that's kind of our approach for onboarding. And it's been like, we implemented it like about a month and a half ago, and it's just been working great.
That's awesome, dude. So it's funny because in our own, like obviously the UpHex model, like the DIY ads, we pioneered that. We were the first ones to do it, obviously. But so we hit a lot of these same problems first. And what we isolated in the onboarding process wasn't necessarily that it was hard for them to do, but they were scared to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. They're like, oh, did I do this wrong? Or they'd send us an email. Hey, like, can you check this to make sure I did it right? Because they don't know, right? Because it's an unfamiliar system. But once you do it once, then they're like, okay, I can do this myself. I'm all good.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the big thing for us and so much of this again is psychological, not because we, the agency owners, the people who are using the automations are like, you guys, it's simple. And it's almost like we get combative against the people that we just sold. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Just see it from their perspective. See it as if you'd never seen your software ever before. They're spending money. They're spending money on advertising. So when they click that button, they want to know that their $50, $60, $70 a day, whatever they're spending, isn't going into the black hole. And so a lot of times it is that easy. It's that first time launching it, or maybe first 2 times launching a campaign. But after that, then they're just like, bam, bam. In fact, I got a voicemail yesterday from a guy, and he's like, hey, we put it on pause for a little bit. We want to come back, use your guys' Facebook ads. They work really well. And he was like just his tone of voice, everything, boom, they're confident they know it works, but they never get to that phase if they don't use it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's giving, I like that you kind of tapped into a couple of like easy solutions. One, bring people together. So it's like, hey, those people are new. I'm new. Okay, we'll be new together, right? And if they can
yeah.
launch that and that's all it is, then I can do the same. So that's genius. Now, you guys are doing that process. Okay, well, actually, let me just back up just 2 steps. So the number one thing is making sure that ad accounts are set up properly. Now, from my experience, it's usually one of 2 ways. One, you have a new ad account, and that's where you have issues. Two, you have a seasoned ad account, and you could just go. You're just ready to rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
So, is that kind of has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I think we found there's so many little mini things that come up when you're dealing with these businesses, because it could just be like maybe everything's fine, but the right person doesn't have administrative access to the account, or they have like a couple business managers set up and they're not sure like which ad account is connected to which business like manager, which profile. And if you don't go through this stuff, then we find that people get confused. And I'd say probably you end up with about there's probably like 20 to 30% of clinics who are really savvy, and they got it. They're like, oh yeah, we're all set up. Then there's another like 30% who are kind of like they're a little bit confused about stuff. And then there's the rest where they're really confused. Maybe they're like older clinics, they're not as tech savvy, and they need like a bit of hand holding right at the start to get that stuff done. But if you just like kind of systematize how you bring everybody on board, you're just confident that like, okay, when a person comes in, after they go through this first call, they're going to be set up, and then we know that all this stuff is ready to go, and then we can kind of move on to the next stuff.
So what I'm going to do, if you guys are watching this video, in the description below, I'm going to post a link to a checklist. We've got a checklist that's basically, if you're going through, I mean, I'm sure, Jordan, you guys probably have a checklist of your own, right? Yeah, so it's a checklist if you're going through, just to make sure that you're onboarding them, that you're checking the right things. It's easy to do. I'll put that in the description below. I'll make myself a note here real quick. All right, cool. So and then you've got the onboarding, which I think we covered that. What about you talked about your group coaching sessions and kind of how you're helping people in a done with you approach. Talk to me about what you guys are doing, how you're doing, and maybe the schedule and some of your results by doing that.
Yeah, sure. So we split it up into 4 calls each day. So the first call will be like we call it the fast start call. So this will be like everyone's first call where they're going through the Facebook stuff, getting familiar with the program, all that kind of stuff. And then we have 3 calls after that. So we have a tech and ads call. And on that call, we do like any problems that might have come up with Facebook accounts. We do like help with workflows, and then help with any ads if they're having performance troubles and they want some feedback. The next one is a launch call. And on that call, what we'll do is anybody who wants to launch their first campaign, they'll hop on that call, and then we can just go through the launch process, get them confident, and they can see like what other people are doing. And then the third one is a little bit more specific to our business, but we go through, it's called a packaging and sales call, and we'll like talk about sales process. We'll talk about like how to package your offers, how to like do the phone calls, and everything else like that's not like specifically ad related. We'll go through on that call. And then we have like a once per week call where we also, it's called the collab call, where we'll get everyone together, and then we'll talk about all the different things that's working in different clinics. And then we'll have like kind of spotlight sessions on different things that you can do with the software. And that's where we'll introduce like new things we brought into the program that people can use. But we've noticed that like if you have those calls every day, then people they feel more confident that they can get support. And then once they see that they're available and they see that other people are coming on, they start to use them more and more. And we found that it's been huge for client results in particular, because they get started quicker and they get the support they need quicker. And so they learn quicker then, and then they can, take on more of the support themselves once they have those skills. And then, that's great for everybody involved, because they get results, and then they know they have the skills so they can fix it for themselves in the future.
There's a lot to unpack there. You had sent me a offer triangle thing, right? You mind if I
Oh
share
yeah.
that with everybody?
Yeah, sure. I get,
So,
that's not my brother made that though. I can't take credit for it.
well, it's interesting, and I'm going back to the coaching aspect of what we're doing. A lot of agency owners get into the game and think, okay, I'm just going to plug in, sell the thing, and then that's all I have to do. What you don't realize is you end up in a way becoming a coach to these customers, right? These local businesses, not only are they not savvy in lead generation, which is what our tools can do for them, but they're also not savvy in the difference between the trial offers that we make and then the core offers that they sell. So you talked about packaging, even like packaging meetings and telling people how to sell. Well, if they're running an ad to get somebody in, they think that that's their offer. It's like, well, no, that's like your lead magnet in a sense, right? That's to get them
Yeah.
there. You have to have a strategy to sell them as well. So there's really a delineation. There's two different parts to the sales cycle. And the first one is your offer triangle, where you guys talk so much about the offer, which is, it's a, if you're, I'll try and get the image and superimpose it here, but it's a pyramid, and the bulk. So 85% of
Yeah.
the pyramid is what?
It's like the offer, or it's the what matters pyramid. And it's basically like this. So the tip of the pyramid is everything else. The entire pyramid basically is the offer or quality of the offer.
Real agencies know that that's how that works, right? There's so many people using artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence has a place in our agencies, absolutely. But human psychology and what people want, you gotta, you gotta be able to live within the shoes of your prospects. And so the offer is so important. You can have an offer in there and it can attract the worst kind of people, right? Or you can have an offer that attracts qualified people. And so that's a really big part of it. And one of the things that, I mean, I'll be interested to hear I'm sure you've had this experience, that we have a common scenario that we have with our customers is when that offer goes out, they're like, I can't offer that. That's too cheap. Or, can't we just do a free consultation? Or can't we just do something where we don't lose money on these offers? And the answer is no. You got to have a good offer for people. Have you gotten that same pushback?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I think the best way is you just have to, like, you have to have training that you have to show the why so people understand, and then you have to provide proof. So like what we do is we show them like, okay, this is how we structure things. This is why. And then here are all the case studies of our clients who are making money, and this is
Yes.
what they're doing. So we show them like they have to believe that it's going to work, because it might be unfamiliar to them, or maybe they tried it before and it hasn't worked. But yeah, you just have to have training, and you have to have social proof, and you have to have like community, so people can get, like, they have to buy into it, because if they don't buy into it, it's not going to work. They have to actually believe that it's going to work, and then have the tools, and then the training.
I think that's a really important part of this whole process. And if you're an agency owner watching this and you want to know, okay, well, that seems complicated. It's not complicated. There's two things that you have to teach them. Other than using your tool, there's two things that they need to know. Number one, the offers that you're making on your ads are trial offers. They are self-liquidating. They are lead magnets. They are just to get people into the business. Okay. They are not the core services that your customers offer. All right. You are supposed to lose money on those things. As long as you're closing us whatever percent that makes sense in your particular niche, you'll make a lot more money than you lose. Right. And as long as you do that over a long time horizon, you'll make a ton of money. Right. So our customers just need to understand the two parts and then the strategy. If you explain to them the strategy and give them some tools, like you guys do packaging. What do you do in your packaging meetings, by the way?
So we do a few different things. So we'll look at a client who is doing really well, and then we'll show them like the type of packages that they have on the back end, and then we'll show our clients how they can build those out for themselves using their own services. So in our space, there is quite a bit of a variance between clinics in terms of the exact services that they offer. And so they'll need to come in and say like, okay, they're doing this. How can I adapt that using my machines and the different services that I offer? So that's a big thing. And then there's also the entire sales process. So it's not just like having a package. It's like, okay, what do I do when somebody comes in? How are we going to be taking our before and after photos? How am I going to be explaining how our services work? How am I going to be explaining the price? How am I going to be explaining like everything in its entirety? And then how am I going to implement that in my clinic? So there's a lot that goes into it. And I think that like for us anyways, we've been in the same kind of space for a really long time. So we have a good understanding of how that works. And I think that's like I had a young guy reach out to me recently and he's like, hey, like how can we kind of implement what you guys are doing? And I'm like, well, it might, like if you're going to try to do this, like it would be wise to maybe go into a clinic and actually do it yourself so you can understand what they're going to be going through. Because if you don't, or if you don't have a partner or you don't have like a star client who you've seen actually do it, then it's really difficult to explain to people because, you know, you don't have that knowledge yet. So that's like, for us anyways, like that was a big thing, is just having, like we've had star clients and then we've had them be able to come in and show like exactly how it works. And then that's like a big, it's like a big addition because clients want to know the particulars, right? And if you don't know, then you don't know.
Yeah. I think I mean, geez, man, if there's one dead horse that we can just beat the hell out of, it's the one that says you got to have a niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for all of these people who like flop around being like, no, I can do it without a niche, or I can, it's like, no, you can't. You can't, because you can't get into the nuance and the scenarios and even the words that they use. Like even the words they use. You use the wrong word and they're like, oh, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a
and the
big
rabbit hole goes deep. The rabbit hole goes deep, like in any one space. Like there's so much to know. And like if you don't spend a lot of time and effort like learning and figuring that stuff out, then like I just think it's hard to make it work in my opinion. I'm sure there's some people who can, but like I think that if you want to be competitive and you want to have a really good business, you have to have that knowledge and you have to have that like that expertise that you can then pass on to your clients.
And by the way, I'm sure that people who are watching this are like, well, that's going to take me a long time. No, it's not. You literally just have to sit down with your avatar. So a person who owns a clinic and say, hey, I'm just getting started. I know you've worked with agencies like mine before. What are the things that you don't like? What are these things, if you could wave a magic wand and they would do something for you, what would those be? And just make a list, like interview a couple of them, right? And just get to know the fabric of that business. And the good thing is if you know business, sales, marketing, operations, that's present in every business. That doesn't change whether you're a plumber, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're a chiropractor. Those don't change. Those are always there. But the way that people communicate about their services, how they help people, the struggles that they themselves encounter every single day trying to grow in their own business, you got to know that, right? And it's not like we're talking, this is going to take you years to acquire the, I guess, the insider information, the insider look. It really just takes, okay, I'm going to do this niche. Now I'm going to go ask a couple of people. I'm going to jump into their groups. I'm going to see how they're talking about, like, you know, there's, in my space, there's modern chiropractic group. You can go in there and just read what people are saying for an afternoon, start engaging with them, and you'll find out really quick that and what they like and what they don't like.
No, I totally agree. Like it doesn't take that long. It just takes like being really involved. And like if I was thinking, if I was going to be doing this all over again, what I would do is I would find one clinic and I'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to work with these guys for like 30 days, but I'm not going to focus on any other clinic. I'm just going to focus on these guys and be like, how can I absolutely blow it up for these guys and learn as much as I possibly can? And then once I'd learned that, then I would go out and then, you know, start trying to look for other clients. But I think if you get all that learning and like kind of out of the way and you figure out what works, then it makes everything else so much easier to do because you actually know how to get results.
Yeah. I will say, excuse me, I will say that if you're trying to get, your head around some of these concepts, you guys go to the UpHex classes. We have weekday classes every single day. You can come and you can learn little different parts about this process. And it doesn't take a lot of time, but you have to put in the effort to do it. And I guess a lot of times we find ourselves speaking to people who are kind of trying to get to the money so quickly. And so in doing so, they're skipping past every step. That's not hard to do, but you must do them in order to be successful like you are. So, I think everybody finds themselves trying to look for, quote, the easy way. And in trying to make it easy, we actually make it hard on ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's simple, not easy. Like it's pretty straightforward. You just have to do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, cool, man. So what are you guys looking forward to in the future in terms of how are you guys building your strategy out?
Yeah, so like what we're doing is we're adding new offers. We're trying to make it easier and easier for our clients to run ads. So we're like adding all types of new creatives, so that they can just use those immediately and they don't have to spend as much time when they're doing their ad launch. What else are we doing? We're basically just taking a bunch of the different SaaS tools that have been coming out in GHL and just like adding those to our program. And there's just so much cool stuff that's come out with high level. It's just crazy. One of the big ones is actually having like an EMR, like a medical record thing, which a bunch of our clients use. They all hate the ones they use right now. And then so we're just adding that on, and it's just this extra piece of value that we can provide. It makes the service stickier and just makes it like
you guys
much
have
more useful.
Like your own EMR?
You can build it in GHL. It's crazy. So we're gonna be running that out. Yeah. They just started the beta release. They added documents, and then in the scheduling thing, you can have different rooms and different providers. So we're gonna be pushing that out in the next couple of weeks. Crazy.
Whoa, I did not know that. I mean, just for everybody that knows in the medical space, and so EMR means electronic medical record system, and EMR and EHR are the same thing, and they're they house patient information, past treatments, all the documents that they need, and they keep them compliant. They're going into the EHR business, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Like it's like all I can't remember what the compliance is called. It's like HIPAA. Yeah. So as long as you have HIPAA compliance, you can use it. And it's crazy because like there's probably about like 50 different software companies that do this, and they're unanimously hated by every single one of our clients. We've never met a client who likes their EMR software. They're like it's too expensive, it's annoying, it's difficult to use. Can you guys just do this within your software? And like the document thing and the scheduling thing, that was kind of like getting in our way. But now that it's there, it's like we can add it and just keep on. Like that's the thing about high level is it's just it continuously amazes me. You can provide so much value. You just have to kind of package it up and make it useful to like whoever your audience is.
Yeah, and I wanted to follow up on the EMR thing. But to your point, when you're looking at how to build out high level, don't just look at everything that high level offers and then start adding it in. Look at the customer and then put in, like, I think Jacob was saying the other day, we have probably 50% of the high level features disabled in our agency, only because it doesn't apply to our value proposition as we see it in our agency. Now, that number, that percentage of and what features you offer in your platform is going to vary from person to person. But the whole idea is they give you so many tools, not so you can use them all. So you can use the ones that are going to give the best value proposition within your agency model.
Yeah, for sure.
The EMR thing. If somebody comes over, a clinic comes over and they've got 1,000 records from their other EMR, is merging those records into your EMR, is that a ridiculously complex process, or is there a way around that? or
I'm
have you
not
not
sure
found the
exactly.
right
We
thing?
haven't gotten there yet. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start out with our, so, like, a lot of our clients are newer clients, and they either haven't been around for a super long time, so they don't have a huge client list, or they haven't actually decided on EMR to use yet. And so we're gonna start with them, and then I think we're gonna have to figure it out. If it comes down to it, I don't think it would be that ridiculously complicated to transfer those records, and I'm sure we could figure it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it's a huge value proposition.
I've wondered about that one thing. I'm like, well, I don't know even know if that's how it works. I don't even know if I asked the right question. Um, but I've wondered about, well, if they're coming from, for example, in the Cairo space, the biggest EHR that there is Cairo Touch, and everybody hates it, right? To your point.
Yeah.
And it's been around since, geez, man, it's got to be since the 90s, that thing, you know.
Oh,
So
it's just terrible, probably, right?
it's
Like, it
there.
hasn't been
Oh
updated in
yeah,
ages.
it's well, they built the software in the friggin' 90s. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not built on a new tech stack. So anyway, well, that I'll have to look deeper into that and see what kind of options are available even within my own space. But well, cool, man. The last thing that I would ask you is if anybody's looking into UpHex, into this model that combines high level and UpHex, what kind of advice would you give to that person?
Um, I guess I'd say so the two biggest things that we found for making UpHex work really well are, number one, that the like what we started the conversation with is making sure you get everything uh, sorted out from the Facebook perspective at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I would suggest is make sure that you only provide really good offers in your templates, because if you have really good offers, then it makes the ads so much easier to run. Like, what you really don't want to run into is a situation where a client comes in, they launch their ads, and then like their lead cost is like $50 per lead or like $100 per lead. And then they're like upset about that. And that will usually happen if they come in and they just use like a really bad offer that's not appealing. And so if you can make sure that they have really good offers to begin with, then you're just going to make the whole process easier. And then it makes the maintenance process easier too, because if you, like, for us, like, we've had clients where like they launch an ad, and if it's a really good offer and they're in an area with like an audience of a few 100,000, it just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs, and it's like
Yeah.
they don't have to do anything, and they're super happy. And you can like increase the chances that you're going to be able to do that for people by just doing some thinking at the beginning of it, like, how can we structure this offer so it's really attractive, and then that'll just make life way easier and like way more fun for your clients.
Dude, I could not agree more. And it's it's a thing that when you're starting your agency, you don't think about that. You don't think that the whole reason, you think that the words on the ads, like a fancy structure of words, are what's going to make that offer work. You know, people think copywriting is just fancy words that somehow persuades people to do something. It's like, dude, no, 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 no. It only works if you have an offer.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky and you have an ad work that's kind of like a boilerplate generic offer, you get lucky one time, that's lucky. You go to the second place, you're going to get confused. You're actually anti-lucky. You're the opposite of lucky. Because if it works in one spot and then it doesn't the way it shouldn't, right? It work in the
Yeah.
second spot, you'll be like, well, why did it work here? I don't know, but it's a
Yeah.
crappy offer. Just make the offer better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's it for sure.
That's it, dude. Well, I think that right there is a awesome piece of advice. And that's one that we want to end on. So if you want to hang out with Jordan, come and hang out with Jordan in the UpHex community. Anywhere else they can reach out to you if they want to.
Yeah, I
Or
guess
do
you can
you
send me a
even want
DM.
people reaching out to you? Just
No,
between
we're just kind of like, if somebody really wants to reach out, we just send me DM. I'm sure I'll
there you go.
respond.
There you go. Dude, you're awesome. Appreciate you coming in, being hat in hand, sharing everything with the community. I think you've given some real tactical advice for people to use. So thanks for sharing, and really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
for sure, man. Thanks for launching UpHex. It's been dope.
Awesome. Dope. Well, we're ending on dope.